So are you a lazy goober and you love to freeload all day around? But you're also worried about how you're gonna fund your next fentanyl hit? If yes, then this manhwa is just for you. So taking a huge breath, let's begin our recap. No matter how much she thinks about it, this is just too much. Other people say it's rare, almost impossible to be reincarnated into the same story twice. But she's living proof that it can happen, because she's experiencing this thing for the third time already. Each life comes with its own set of difficulties, but when she opens her eyes this time, it's her fourth life. And honestly, it's the worst situation yet. She cries out in disbelief, wondering why she has returned as the villainess Serena again. In her first life, she was a slave. Well, actually not quite, she was a grad student. She spent years as her academic advisor's personal slave, earning a meager 400,000 won a month. That bastard had her doing everything, all because she was about to graduate. She was pulling yet another all-nighter when she started to feel dizzy. Yeah, she literally worked herself to death. Before collapsing, she prayed to God, if there's any way, please, let her be born into a rich family so she won't have to study and can just live comfortably. And maybe, just maybe, her desperate prayer actually worked, because in her second life, she was born a noble. She became the eldest daughter of a renowned family, living a life of luxury under the name Serena Lavernia. It felt like she'd hit the jackpot, like she'd just won a golden ticket. At least, that's what she thought. Until she heard that name, someone asked her to come meet her fiancé, Magnus von Kellam, the Duke's heir. The name alone sounded like a one-way ticket straight to hell. Wait, Magnus? That name sounds familiar. And then it hit her hard. Magnus, as in the second male lead of Saint Lucky. She had been reincarnated into a novel she read in her previous life. The title flashed in her mind like a curse. 10 Ways for Saint Lucky to Find Happiness. It was your typical romance fantasy story, famous for having one of the worst villainesses ever written. That villainess's name? Serena Lavernia. And that was exactly who she'd become. In the story, Serena committed every awful deed imaginable against the saintly female lead poisoning attempts, murder plots, the full villain starter pack. Naturally, her life ended with multiple tragic bad endings, each worse than the last. There was the poisoned in prison ending, the losing her child ending, the mental breakdown ending, and the grand finale public execution. To make matters even worse, Magnus, the second male lead, absolutely despised her. He loathed Serena for tormenting the saint. Not only did he break off their arranged marriage and divorce her, but he also made it his personal mission to destroy her reputation and her life in every way possible. So when she first laid eyes on Magnus, her supposed future husband, she immediately felt a wave of panic hit her. Those side stories, those horrible endings, they could very well become her future. She starts spiraling. Does this mean the peaceful, happy life she's been living will crumble because of some cliché plot twist? Wait, come to think of it, Serena wasn't always a villain, right? When did she even turn evil in the original story again? Oh right, it happened after she met the saint during her debut into high society. She must have been around 16 at that time. Hold up, she's only 8 right now. That means she still has time to change her future. Her father calls out to her, and she waves it off casually. No problem, she's got this. This is simple. All she has to do is avoid meeting the saint and steer clear of every predictable, cliché storyline that could drag her into doom. From that moment on, her new goal is set. She'll live as kindly as possible. And so, she decides. She'll stay out of the spotlight, befriend Magnus, and join a convent long before the villainous plotline can even begin. That's the plan. Simple, safe, and totally non-lethal. When she turns 15, she finally manages to convince her worried parents to let her join a convent. Mission success. She's escaped her tragic ending. Finally, all she needs to do now is slowly build up her wealth and live her best peaceful life. But just as she's thinking that, something feels off. The carriage she's riding in starts shaking violently. She frowns, confused. What's wrong with this thing? Then, crash! The entire carriage drops into a pit. Her world spins. She wakes up with a gasp, chest heaving. The first thought that runs through her mind, where even she is I? Then it hits her. The carriage fell off a cliff, didn't it? Before she can piece things together, a man walks into the room, a doctor, apparently, and he's scolding her. He's asking how long she plans to stay in bed, calling her Keel. She blinks, totally lost. Is he speaking to me? He looks at her like she's lost her mind and snaps. demanding where the report he told her to finish today is. She stares at him in disbelief. A report? Research? What is he even talking about? The doctor scoffs, saying, "How can you call yourself a research assistant? Wait, assistant? She freezes. Does that mean she is somebody's assistant again? After being a grad school slave in her first life, she's somehow been reborn as an assistant for a medieval professor, obsessed with dangerous experiments. That's how she ends up living her third life. But her so-called usual life as an assistant doesn't last long, because soon a massive war breaks out. One day, her boss comes rushing in, saying something about his last wish. She's horrified, yelling at him, asking what the hell he's planning to do. He argues right back, shouting that they're going to die anyway, so she should just come with him. She's seriously doubting whatever scheme this old man's cooking up. But staying here will just get her captured or killed. So she guesses she'll trust him one last time. He shoves her toward a strange capsule. She screams at him, demanding to know what he's doing. He proudly declares that it's his newly developed teleportation device and that she'll have the honor of being the first person to use it. She loses it. Why don't he use it first? He just laughs, saying he's too scared to try it himself, and winks. He tells her to trust him, just this once. Maybe he's a genius herbalist and secretly good with machines too? She doubts it, but before she can argue, the machine starts to glow. And just like that, she ends up as the guinea pig for his insane invention. As the machine flashes with blinding light, she shouts at him that she's going to kill him for this. But in her heart, she's just praying, "God, please." She won't ask for anything else. She don't even want a happy life anymore. Just let her rest in peace. She really thinks this will be the end at last. But when she opens her eyes again, no, not again. She clenches her teeth, bracing herself. Then she freezes. The body she's in, it's familiar. She looks at her reflection and nearly stops breathing. That face. She recognizes that face. It seems like time has passed, that this is definitely the same face she had in her second life as Villainess Serena Lavernia. Only now, she's grown into an adult. Her thoughts race. Did I survive that carriage crash after all? Then another thought hits her, a terrifying one. What if she didn't die? What if the original Serena continued down her path of evil after she left, and the villainous ending is already set in stone? Her blood runs cold. Outside her room, someone asks if Lady Serena is awake. The butler replies, yes. The Duke Magnus grits his teeth, his expression cold enough to freeze fire. He tells the butler, make sure she doesn't cause any trouble, and make her sign the divorce paper. Serena hears his voice echo from beyond the door. Her chest tightens. She realizes with a sinking feeling that maybe, this time, he's doomed too. The next day, she opens the window curtains, and her breath catches. This scenery, she remembers seeing it when she was young. This is definitely the Kellahina Manor, the place where, for the first time, she had family and friends to be with. But now, unlike then, she stands in an empty annex, silence clinging to the walls like dust. According to the original story, Serena should already be married to Magnus and living as the Duchess by now. The fact that she's stuck in this deserted annex means only one thing. Talks of divorce are already underway. She must have resisted the divorce and ended up being sent here. Since it's been at least 2 years since the carriage accident, that means she has already become the villain. The 3 lives she's lived so far all ended in misfortune. And now, she's here again, in this same cursed body. She asks herself quietly, is she doomed in this life before it even begins? Will she die as the villainess? Just like in the original story, is there truly no way to break free from this never-ending cycle of fate? Her hand tightens into a fist. No, she refuses to die like this. Not again. It hasn't reached the worst part yet, so she can still change the story. Serena's downfall, according to the book, begins when Magnus can no longer tolerate her misdeeds and files for divorce. Then, all of her evil deeds are exposed. Her own family cuts her off and she loses her title thrown out with nothing. She failed to escape the original story when she was 15, but this time, she's going to win. Determination flickers in her chest like wildfire. She'll make sure to take the easy way out this time. No drama, no public ruin, no tragic ending. Just then, a voice cuts through her thoughts. Someone's out there, she calls out instinctively, and a maid rushes in, startled and breathless, asking if she called for her or if she needed something. Serena turns sharply, eyes resolute, and says she must go to the main building. The moment she steps inside, chaos greets her. The manor buzzes with uneasy energy, servants whispering, footsteps rushing down the halls. The butler furrows his brow, noting how the manor seems unusually noisy today. He demands to know what's going on. Why aren't the servants at their station? But no one gives him a straight answer. Confusion fills the air. And then, Serena appears before him. Her voice is calm, commanding. She says she came to see him. The nearest servant stammers, apologizing profusely, saying that by His Grace's orders, she is not allowed to enter the manor. The butler's frown deepens. She's supposed to be in the annex. What is she doing here? He studies her, a mix of disbelief and distaste, twisting his face. This is Serena Kalahinam. After all, the woman who dismissed dozens of servants, publicly humiliated anyone she disliked in high society, and caused injuries more times than anyone could count. And beyond that, there's also that horrific crime she committed against the Crown Princess consort. It's only thanks to the Crown Prince's mercy that she's still alive at all. Otherwise, she'd already be facing execution. The butler grits his teeth, muttering under his breath, "What a disgrace to the Kalahinam family. How could someone like her be the mistress of this house?" The thought alone feels insulting. Still, as a servant bound by duty, he straightens his collar, forces his expression neutral, and approaches her. With a deep bow, he says respectfully that he is Lottie, the butler. Serena glances at him coolly, her voice calm but direct, as she asks, "Where is Pamel, the head butler?" Lottie replies that he is Pamel's successor. Serena's eyes flicker faintly with recognition. Pamel had already been quite old when she was a child, so, of course, it makes sense that he now has a successor. Which means, this man, Lottie, has the authority to let her in. She takes a graceful step closer and states plainly that she came to see her husband. Her tone doesn't waver. "Tell him," she says, "that I've agreed to his previous request." Lottie blinks, confused for a second. "By that, do you mean the divorce?" Serena nods once. She says she would like to settle things quickly, so she plans to wait in the reception room until Magnus arrives. Can he arrange that? She says it so confidently, like someone completely in control, but the tension in the air says otherwise. The servants' uneasy glances make it clear that she's hated far more than she thought. So now, she waits in the entrance hall, trying to ignore the stares piercing into her from every corner. Her chest tightens for a second, but she brushes it off. No time to spiral. She needs to focus on what she has to do next. Step 1. Finalize the divorce and gain her freedom. Step 2. Go straight to the Lavernia Manor and recover the emergency funds she secretly stashed away when she was younger. As the villainess, she'll only drag her family down, so she'll leave them voluntarily. After that, she plans to use the herbal skills she worked so hard to master in her past life to start a small business, something quiet and peaceful, far away from all this chaos. A simple life, a fresh start. But then, her mind catches on a grim thought. What about all the evil deeds this character committed? She didn't do them herself, but still, in everyone's eyes, she's guilty. It might be smarter to clean up the mess for her own safety, because if someone with a grudge were to come after her for revenge, her imagination spirals, fourth life ending, assassinated. She stiffens. No, that's not happening again. What if she reincarnates again into something worse? Before her panic can fully consume her, a calm, familiar voice breaks through. "Welcome, my lady." She turns and freezes. It's Pamel, the head butler of the Kalahinam Manor. For a moment, she just stares. After everything she's gone through, all the exhaustion, the endless cycles of pain, she didn't think she had any emotions left to give. And yet here she is, eyes softening, a strange warmth creeping in. She's genuinely glad to see him again. He's aged quite a bit since the last time she saw him. Well, it has been 10 years. Now that he has a successor, it must be time for him to finally retire. She smiles faintly and says, "It's been a long time, Pamel." She didn't expect him to still be working here. Her tone is gentle, her intent sincere. She means that he's grown old and should get some rest now that he has someone to take over. But from everyone else's perspective, the words sound like a jab. This old man is such an eyesore. Hurry up and retire already so she don't have to see you. They misread her completely. In her head, she's just thinking that he should be relaxing on a sunny vacation by now. Meanwhile, her new butler, Lottie, clenches his fists behind his back, his face twisting as he mutters under his breath. He really hopes the divorce happens soon. In another room, Magnus listens to the report, his tone sharp as he questions, "Is he certain Serena agreed to the divorce?" Lottie nods nervously. Magnus scoffs, leaning back, eyes cold. What's she plotting this time? He thinks that despite being such a total scumbag now, Back when she was younger, Serena Lavernia was actually a decent fiancé. There was one day, long ago, when they were still young. He remembers telling her that he had heard the second prince of the kingdom of Mule had recently started a rebellion. The tactics the prince was using were quite something. Serena had been amazed, asking how he even knew all that. She had told him he was so smart. No wonder so many people in the palace were trying to get him on their side. Still, she reminded him to take care of himself, to rest whenever he could. Even though their marriage had been arranged, she was kind and gentle back then. He had genuinely liked her. But 2 years later, everything changed. Serena suddenly left for a convent, and when she returned, she was severely injured. Everyone thought she was going to die, yet miraculously, she survived, only to come back as a completely different person. It all started when she abandoned him to chase after the crown prince, tormenting the crown princess consort. After becoming duchess, her behavior only spiraled further, escalating until she even plotted to poison the crown princess consort. Now he wonders what kind of trouble she's caused this time. The head butler tells him that, actually, nothing happened at the manor today. Magnus narrows his eyes, saying, "That's nonsense. That woman must have stirred something." But then he pauses, thinking about it. There are no broken decorations, no panicked screams from the servants, not even the faint smell of blood lingering in the halls. Serena Lavernia. What is she up to this time? She must be plotting something. Meanwhile, she's sitting there calmly, eating her cookies when he finally shows up to see her. The servants are utterly confused by how casual she looks. She turns to the butler and casually asks if he can pack the leftover cookies for her. The butler, caught off guard, quickly replies that of course, he will. Magnus raises a brow. Are they starving her in the annex or something? It doesn't seem like she's done anything yet. Still, since she's here to discuss the divorce, he figures he'd better handle this quickly and send her on her way. He walks over and sits beside her. Serena, watching him, can't help but think that he's still as handsome as ever, maybe even more so than before. Back then, she always thought he looked good, but now, he's grown up way better than she expected. Honestly, he must have broken a few hearts along the way. She greets him softly, saying it's been a while and asking how he's been. Magnus looks at her like she's lost her mind. Is that really something she can just casually ask? The air turns heavy. She instantly realizes she shouldn't have said that. Of course not. After all the horrible things she's supposedly done, after even a murder attempt, it's no wonder the very sight of her disgusts him. But deep down, she feels it's unfair, because she wasn't the one who did all of that. Those memories, those sins, they belong to the old Serena. Looking back at her past lives, she remembers being exploited over and over, treated as nothing more than assistant slave 1 inch or research slave 2. Even as the noble lady Serena Lavernia, she never once received her father's love. Then why? Why is she suddenly feeling differently now? Why does his coldness sting when she's so used to being hated? Magnus cuts through her thoughts, pointing toward her sharply. Forget it. She came here to sign the divorce papers, didn't she? He slides the papers toward her and tells her to sign them and leave. She nods slightly, gathering her courage before speaking again. Before she signs, she asks if she can request just one thing. Magnus exhales impatiently, clearly tired of the conversation. Does she really think she's in any position to make requests? She shakes her head quickly. No, it's just about the grace period. She admits she doesn't have enough emergency funds to find a place immediately. He raises a brow and replies flatly that if she means the 3-month grace period, then yes, she can stay in the annex like she has been. He'll take care of the alimony and other matters according to proper legal procedures. She blinks, surprised. Is he really giving that to her? Her voice softens as she thanks him sincerely. She plans to save up and leave as soon as she can. But from his point of view, her smile looks almost like a smirk, the kind that used to drive him insane. She's probably mocking him again, the same way she used to. His brother might be fine with her, but Magnus still can't understand this woman. She finishes signing the papers neatly, places the pen down, and stands up with composed grace. She tells him she'll be leaving now, then pauses at the doorway. Turning slightly, she adds casually that there's one more thing. She's just saying this in case, but he doesn't need to worry about her during the grace period. He's free to date if he wants. Magnus freezes for a moment, completely thrown off. Date? Did she really just say that? Back at the academy, Serena used to be that girl, the one who eyed every single person who came within 2 feet of Magnus like they were a walking red flag. She was so wary of everyone around him that it became an unspoken rule to keep their distance. Whenever another woman so much as looked his way, Serena's sharp gaze would snap in that direction with silent fury, practically screaming, "Who does she think she's gawking at? That's her fiancé." One day, a girl merely wiped a bit of dust off Magnus's uniform, and the air instantly turned tense. The poor girl had no clue what kind of storm she'd just invited. Magnus, trying to keep things civil, told Serena to stop it, saying the girl was simply being nice and that Serena was being too harsh. But Serena wasn't having it. She told him to stay out of it, because, seriously, how dare that girl even think of touching him? Totally out of line. After that little scene, no one dared to even show a hint of interest in Magnus. Everyone avoided him like he was cursed. Not because of him, but because no one wanted to get on Serena's bad side. The irony, though? The most absurd part was that after she made sure every girl in the academy avoided him, she went off chasing the crown prince. Like, make it make sense. And now, after all that drama, she tells Magnus that he's free to date whoever he wants. He's utterly disgusted, and honestly, who could blame him? On the other hand, Serena feels a weird sort of relief. Well, she thinks things aren't starting off too bad. She's surprised he's even giving her a grace period and alimony. That's more than she expected. Once she leaves the Lavernia family, she'll be one step closer to completely escaping the original story's disastrous ending. Still, she's aware she'll need money to live safely without being tied down to the Kelahinum name. Her mind starts racing. How can she earn some? There's gotta be a way. Then something clicks. She remembers how Pamel's hair seemed a little thin lately. Wait, this world doesn't even have hair loss treatments yet, does it? Her eyes light up. Oh, this could be big. Like, upper nobility level big. There would totally be demand for something like that. It could make her rich, independent, and untouchable. Now that's the kind of plot twist she can get behind. Just as she's hyping herself up about her next move, a sound catches her attention. She turns and spots something on the floor. A teddy bear. No, wait, it's a rabbit. Her brows furrow. Was this always here? She picks it up, turning it over in her hands, and a weird chill runs down her spine. Looks familiar. Then it hits her. Something flashes in her memory. The carriage accident. She remembers seeing this exact same doll right before she lost consciousness. Her stomach drops. A bad feeling washes over her, heavy and cold. Nope, nope, nope. Every instinct screams that keeping this thing around will be nothing but trouble. She doesn't even think twice. She grabs the rabbit and hurls it straight out the window. With that cursed thing gone, she finally plops down onto her bed, exhaling hard. Finally, some peace, but she knows it won't last long. From now on, she's going to be busy, like no rest, full grind busy, until she completely escapes the original story's fate once and for all. So she figures she better get as much rest as she can while she still has the chance. But on the other side of the courtyard, that same rabbit, the one she'd literally yeeted out the window last night, is now walking. It peeks out from behind a tree, its button eyes gleaming faintly as it softly calls out her name, Serena. The next morning, sunlight pours into the room as the maid bangs on her door, yelling for her to wake up already. But Serena? She's busy snoring, totally unbothered by the chaos of the real world. The maid grows frustrated and starts shaking her awake. Serena groans, half asleep, and blindly grabs something soft and fluffy beside her. Wait, didn't she throw this outside yesterday? Her drowsiness vanishes in an instant. Why is it back here? And why is it moving? The rabbit, very much alive, wiggles its ears and scribbles something on a piece of parchment with its tiny paw. The message reads, "Congratulations! The World Tree has chosen her." Serena just stares. Her brain short-circuits. This wasn't in the original story. At all. What kind of nonsense is that supposed to be? She mutters under her breath. There's no way she's buying this. None. The rabbit, however, looks desperate. Its tiny shoulders shake as it sobs, pleading for her to wait and listen. Between hiccups, it blurts out that it's a spirit of the World Tree and that it's been searching for her, a transmigrator destined to save the world. Serena just blinks. Excuse me, what? Was the original story's saint actually a transmigrator? She doesn't remember that being part of the plot. Saving the world sounds exactly like something the saint would do. Not her. Definitely not her. She rolls over and plops onto her side, groaning. If she's understanding this correctly, this spirit has completely mixed her up with someone else. Of all the people in this world, she says dryly, he had found her by mistake. Then, sitting up, she looks the rabbit dead in the eyes and adds, "Listen, I have absolutely zero intention of doing anything grand like saving the world or helping others. She might look lazy, but her dream is to live off passive income and take it easy for the rest of my life. So whoever you're looking for, it's probably the crown princess consort. Go find her." The rabbit frantically shakes its head. "No, it's definitely Miss Serena. After all, she is the only transmigrator in this world. And more importantly, if she complete the mission, she can return to her original world." She glares at the rabbit. Say that again, she dare him. Anyway, as long as she, the so-called Villainess, stays out of trouble, nothing catastrophic will even happen. There won't be any saving the world to begin with. Problem solved. But the rabbit's ears droop as it insists that she's wrong. The world is in grave danger. Actually in danger. So if she saved the world, it says, he will grant her any wish she want. And if she don't want to go back, then how about he make her a healthy, unemployed person who's secretly rich? He can totally make that happen. Serena raises a brow. Rich and lazy, huh? Tempting. But she's already got plans. She's confident in her herbalism skills, and her business idea is solid. She doesn't need magic shortcuts for that. What she does want, though, is revenge. Her expression darkens as old memories rise to the surface. Kim Chul-soo, the man who worked her to death, and Remelon, the one who used her as a test subject until the very end. She asks him, can he bring people from other dimensions here? The rabbit straightens up, puffing its chest proudly. Of course! The World Tree's wish orb can grant any wish. Her eyes narrow. How many people can it bring? The rabbit hesitates. Well, not too many. Maybe 2? He assures he will try his best to bring 2. That answer makes her smile. A slow, dangerous kind of smile that sends a chill down even a spirit's spine. Seeing that expression, the rabbit nervously asks if she's planning to bring loved ones from her old world. She seems harsh, but maybe she's actually a softie underneath it all? Serena tilts her head, her smile turning sharper. She wants to draw up a contract to make everything clear. And just like that, the deal is sealed. The contract glows as it's signed. Serena's voice is low and steady, dripping with resolve as she whispers, Kim Chul-soo, Remelon, wait for her. She will pay them both back 100-fold for everything they did to her. The rabbit watches her with wide, worried eyes. That laugh, dark and amused, doesn't sound like the laugh of a savior at all. The poor thing can't help but wonder if everything is really going to be fine. So their mission is nothing less than to save the world, a task drenched in grandeur and risk. But, of course, there are conditions. The contractee must actively participate in defeating the evil forces that threaten the World Tree, standing side by side with the spirit to protect it, and, in turn, the world itself. Only by completing this divine mission can the contractee earn the ultimate reward, a single wish granted by the spirit of the World Tree. Failure, however, nullifies all terms. Serena solemnly declares that she will stand by his side as his supporter and guide, lending her strength to fulfill this sacred will. And with that, she grants him permission to form a contract with the essence of the world. Then comes the twist. He asks her to name him. Serena blinks, confused. Wait, she even has to give him a name? That's part of the deal too? She grumbles internally, thinking maybe she should just go with something quick. But when she mutters out her lazy choice, he immediately questions it, clearly unimpressed. Is she seriously going with that half-hearted name? Once chosen, it can't be changed. Serena scoffs. What's wrong with Darky? It's cute, isn't it? When he doesn't seem thrilled, she gets a little defensive and tries to think of something cooler. How about Black Nummy? Or maybe something grand, like Dark King General Orphles? But no, none of them seem to please him. He's way pickier than she expected. Frustrated, Serena waves it off. She doesn't even know anymore. Let's just go with whatever sounds good. Finally, she suggests Nyx, and this time, the spirit accepts it. Nyx. It's short, mysterious, and oddly fitting. She smiles, yet can't shake off the weird feeling that the spirit actually smiled back just now. From this day forward, Nyx shall be her knight and strength, standing beside her in their shared destiny. Maybe it's just her imagination, but something about his presence feels alive, warm. Nyx, now speaking more clearly than before, expresses that he looks forward to working with Miss Serena. That tone, it's different. Just a moment ago, he sounded more like a divine messenger relaying the World Tree's will. Now, he's just Nyx. When she tells him there's no need to be so formal, he's completely thrown off. but she insists she's not into strict master-servant relationship. The old ways of formality don't suit her vibe. Nix protests. He's always been formal with his masters. But Serena smirks and points out that they're partners now. Teammates saving the world together. That makes him blush. Her casual kindness clearly catches him off guard. When he hugs her in a flustered gesture of loyalty, she only smirks sharper. Inside, she's already thinking how much easier it'll be to boss him around as a friend than as a master. Nix then gets all serious again, ready to explain the details of how they're going to save the world. But Serena raises a hand, stopping him. She's got a suggestion before they start. And then, 1 week later, it's been exactly 7 days since Serena Lavernia last went to see Magnus. He's been restless ever since. Something about that day felt off, but this silence feels worse. He sits there, glaring out the window, a mix of irritation and unease twisting in his chest. The butler steps forward, ever so politely, asking if he should open the window for him. Magnus shakes his head. That's not it. It's about Serena. A grim thought crosses his mind. Has she died? The butler answers calmly, breaking his grim suspicion. Serena hasn't died. She's simply been handling everything from her room. And yet, for Magnus, that only raises more questions. He doesn't trust this. Not one bit. Serena used to go out at least 4 or 5 times a week, spending money like it grew on trees, crashing parties uninvited just for the drama of it all. That was the Serena Lavernia everyone knew. Wild, spoiled, and absolutely impossible to ignore. But now, she hasn't stepped outside her room in days. She's doing nothing at all. It's weird. Too weird. Just like after the carriage accident. Could that be why she keeps reminding him of someone else? Of the old Serena, the one who used to look at him with nothing but warmth, love even. Magnus quickly shakes his head. What the hell is he even thinking? The butler, ever observant, suggests that if he's so concerned, perhaps he should check on her himself. Magnus scoffs instantly, as if insulted. Concerned? Him? The butler just smiles, a little too knowingly, pointing out that it seems to him Magnus is worried she might be causing trouble again. Magnus snorts. Exactly. That's all it is. He's not concerned about her. He's just curious what kind of ridiculous scheme she's cooking up this time. That's all. Definitely not, because he's worried. Nope, not at all. Meanwhile, on the other side of the mansion, Nix peers over at Serena, who's been lounging around in her room all day. He finally asks if she's really fine staying like this, doing nothing, not training, not saving the world. Serena waves him off with a sleepy grin. Of course she's fine. She's already explained it to him, hasn't she? In her previous lives, she was basically a slave pushed, punished, and forced to carry burdens that weren't even hers. So now that she has a shot at saving the world, she figures she deserves a break. She needs to conserve her energy, obviously. Right now is what she calls the preparation, which, in her mind, means doing absolutely nothing. Nix looks at her like she's gone insane, but she only stretches and smiles. She totally has a plan, just not the kind anyone expects. Forget world peace or whatever. Her main goal? To live a comfortable, peaceful life. If she, the so-called villainess, does nothing, then nothing bad happens. No one bothers her, no one hates her, no one tries to ruin her life. She can finally just exist in quiet comfort, free from drama and judgment. Honestly, that sounds like paradise. If she could, she'd stay like this forever. Her daydream is cut short by a knock at the door. Serena frowns. Who could that be? The servants are too terrified of her to knock. They usually just leave her food outside and run off. She told them to do that, actually. But when she opens her eyes again, she senses it. Someone's actually outside. And then she hears a voice. A very familiar one. It's Magnus. He pushes the curtain aside, standing there like an unwelcome storm. The one benefit of being the villainess, she thinks, is that no one dares to mess with her. Except apparently him. Was she? Too quiet lately? Maybe that's what drew him here. She sits up fast, shouting out, demanding who dares enter the Duchess's chambers without permission, only for Magnus to cut her off sharply, declaring himself the master of this house. His tone is pure thunder. He looks around and nearly explodes. Is this even a room fit for a human? What the hell did she do to make it look like this? Serena snaps back immediately, flustered. What is he even talking about? The place is perfectly optimized for her to laze around in. She knows exactly where everything is. Every pillow pile, every snack wrapper. It's organized chaos. He stares at her blankly, and when he calls it a pigsty, she freezes. Wait, did he just call her a pig? Before she can retort, Magnus steps closer, scooping her up effortlessly, ignoring her loud protests. A maid appears nervously at the door, and he commands her to get the Duchess back to her proper state immediately. Serena's jaw drops. She's furious. How dare he? For about 10 minutes straight, the servants went into full battle mode, dusting, scrubbing, folding, and polishing every corner of Serena's domain until not even a crumb dared to exist. When they were done, her beloved sanctuary had been completely transformed. Serena stood frozen, devastated. Her precious room, her dark, cozy, gloriously messy hideaway, was now a sterile, spotless nightmare. The soft chaos that once made it perfect for lounging had vanished, replaced by bright, blinding order. It was now so clean that she actually felt obligated to do something productive. Tragic. Magnus admitted, in that stiff tone of his, that perhaps calling her a pig earlier was a bit rude. Serena perked up a little. Wait, was he actually apologizing? But then he ruined it instantly by adding that pigs, at least, were much better than her. And just like that, any tiny bit of gratitude she'd felt evaporated. Gone. Poof. She glared at him furiously, already regretting that she'd even let him speak another sentence. How dare he? And seriously, did he just insult her twice in one apology? Magnus didn't stop there either. He threw another jab, commenting on how lazy she must have been to let her face get that puffy in just 1 week. Serena froze, then internally screamed. That was it? Whatever faint mercy she'd had left for him was dead. Magnus Lavernia, certified jerk of the century. She almost forgot how he's always been this way rigid, controlling, a total rulebook wrapped in human form. Still, she tries to calm herself down. No point getting worked up. He's the one providing food and a roof over her head after all. So she switches to curiosity instead. What exactly brings him here to the annex of all places? He never comes here. If he's shown up now, there has to be a reason. He answers simply, saying it's been too quiet lately. He wanted to check what kind of trouble she was up to. Of course. And as usual, he couldn't resist pointing out how she'd turned the place into a pigsty. Serena sighs, half admitting defeat. Fine, she'll admit it. Maybe she did let things get out of hand, but she was going to clean it up. Eventually. Besides, once she leaves, he's just going to redecorate the room for his new Duchess anyway. All right, she gets it, she says. He wants order, but she has one request. She'd really prefer if he didn't concern himself with what she does. Not that he cares much, of course. She just needs space. If she's going to escape the original story, the fate that doomed her before, she has to stay focused. And honestly, it's just easier being alone. Magnus frowns, clearly not liking that. How could he not care? He demands, calling her name with that familiar sharpness. This is his house, and he won't allow anyone to turn it into a pigsty, least of all her. Serena just sighs inwardly. Of course, he wasn't actually worried about her. He was just being his usual controlling self. She expected nothing less. But then, his expression shifts slightly, his gaze sweeping over her with mild irritation. He sighs again and mutters that, come to think of it, why is she dressed like that? Serena blinks. What's wrong with her pajamas? It's her room. She can wear whatever she wants. Magnus looks at her like she's lost her mind, pointing out that she's in a room alone with a man. She stares at him flatly, deadpan. They're not even in that kind of relationship. He looks genuinely baffled. Not that kind of relationship? He repeats. They're still officially married, aren't they? Serena shrugs, utterly done with this conversation. So what? They're going to get divorced soon anyway. The marriage was arranged from the start. Just another political move. Nothing more, nothing less. Magnus falls silent at that, but the air between them suddenly feels heavier than before. They don't even like each other, so what's the problem? Magnus tells himself that Serena is right. There shouldn't be a problem. So then why does he feel this weird, frustrating twist in his chest? He blurts out, almost without thinking, asking if she didn't once say his face was her type. She blinks at him, a little surprised, and tilts her head playfully. When she asks if she really said that, his composure cracks. His ears practically turn red. She did say it. She said his face was her type, and that if they ever got too close, she might just pounce on him. Magnus immediately cuts the moment short, running a hand through his hair. Forget it. Why is he even talking to her about this nonsense? Serena only laughs softly and teases him. Sure, he's handsome, not that she can do anything about it. Her tone is light, almost wistful. In the original story, Magnus is supposed to divorce Serena, find true love, and live happily ever after. He gets the perfect fairy tale ending, the one she can only dream of. Magnus narrows his eyes slightly, noticing how she's staring at him. What? Why is she looking at him like that? She chuckles and waves it off, saying it's nothing. She's just thinking that his future wife will totally have him wrapped around her finger. He might be prickly by nature now, but once he's with someone he truly cares about, he'll change completely. Magnus studies her in silence. She's been acting strange since earlier. First, she tells him he's free to date whoever he wants. Now she's going on about his future wife. It's like she already thinks he's in love with someone else. That thought makes his jaw tighten before he abruptly stands up. This conversation is pointless. He gives her a sharp look and tells her not to cause any trouble during the grace period. She's to stay quiet and eat her meals in the dining room. If he finds out she's eating in her room again, he'll have everything thrown out. And also she's to take a 30-minute walk every day. Serena just stares at him, stunned. He's actually allowing her to go out? He crosses the room and clarifies coldly. It's not permission, it's an order from the master of the house. She sighs inwardly, wondering why he's being so strict all of a sudden. Meanwhile, Magnus wonders the same thing in reverse. Why is she doing all this? Honestly, there's no reason for him to be this involved, but for some reason, he feels like he caught a glimpse of the old Serena today. And now that he thinks about it, listening to what Pamela suggested about being civil only gave him a headache. Later, Nix pops up beside Serena, grinning mischievously. He says he heard everything earlier, so no more hibernating now? She shrugs with a tired smile, replying that, yeah, no choice. The landlord says she can't. That makes Nix beam. Finally! Does this mean they're actually going to search for the source of evil now? Serena sighs again. She really wanted to just relax for a while, but she guesses it's time to move on to the next step. The next day at the Lavernia Manor, chaos stirs as someone rushes into the hall, nearly tripping over themselves to reach the head butler. The butler frowns, asking what's going on and why all the commotion. The man catches his breath and drops the news. Lady Serena has arrived! Serena stands before the manor gates, gazing up at the familiar building. Nothing's changed here either. The head butler greets her at the door, and she tells him it has been quite a while. As she looks at him, she wonders why he isn't inviting her in. A thought flashes through her mind. Is there something wrong with her? Nix is a spirit, so technically, no one should be able to see him. She already knew they wouldn't welcome her warmly, but this level of coldness feels a bit too much. She begins to suspect that maybe her father has banned her from entering the house, but the butler quickly assures her that isn't the case. Her visit, he explains, was simply unexpected, so the servants are taking a bit longer to prepare things inside. He apologizes for keeping her waiting, though deep down, he's sweating bullets. In his head, he's thinking that by now, they've probably hidden everything. And honestly, he's got a bad feeling about this sudden visit. It's definitely not for anything good. After all, when Lady Serena is in a bad mood, she tends to, well, smash decorations. He silently prays today doesn't turn into one of those chaotic days. Thankfully, everything seems ready now, so he finally welcomes her in. As she steps inside, Serena looks around and asks where her family is. Are they all home? The butler explains that both her parents are away for the regular imperial meeting. She then asks about Nocturne, and he replies that Lord Nocturne, being the captain of the Imperial Knights and heir to the family, is away as well. Serena sighs, realizing she'll have to wait for them to return. The butler, trying to stay polite, adds that if she wishes to meet Lord Nocturne today, that is, he totally understands why she'd come looking for the Marquess. But why she's asking for the Lord specifically, he can't help but wonder. They might have been close once, but now, things aren't exactly like before. As the servants line up to greet her, Serena takes in the familiar sight. She used to play here as a child. Everything looks just as she remembers, and for a moment, a small smile crosses her face. She really did miss this place, just a little. The butler silently breathes a sigh of relief. At least she seems to be in a good mood today. That's a blessing in itself. Then she suddenly comments, half teasing and half serious, asking if House Lavernia has fallen into poverty without her realizing it. She gestures at the hall, pointing out how empty it looks. It never used to be this bare. The butler internally panics. Was it that obvious? They really did rush to hide all the decorations earlier, and now it's coming back to haunt him. Serena groans dramatically, calling it trouble-owned, because if her family is actually broke, how on earth is she supposed to get funding for her business now? To make things worse, she's sure they'll end up blaming her for this whole mess. That makes it a little hard to shamelessly ask for money anymore. House Lavernia has long been one of the Emperor's most loyal supporters, powerful, respected, and trusted by the imperial family. But ever since Serena Lavernia's reckless behavior, that relationship started to crumble. Slowly, House Lavernia's influence began to weaken. The Marchioness, unable to bear the constant humiliation brought by her daughter's action, fell ill. Her declining health and eventual death became the final blow, the reason Serena was cast out from her own family. The reason she comes here today, before officially getting disowned, is to handle things and somehow prevent her mother from passing away. She thinks about it for a moment, and an idea sparks in her mind. What if she proposes a deal where she leaves the family first instead? If she, the family's notorious troublemaker, voluntarily disappears, then maybe, just maybe, they'll see giving her a bit of startup money as a bargain. She chuckles quietly at her own plan, amused by the absurdity of it. Nix, floating nearby, looks at her in disbelief. Serena, what are you even thinking? He can't believe she's laughing so lightly while talking about her family's finance. The old Serena, the emotional, impulsive one, is truly gone now. The butler, still hovering nervously beside her, insists that the family isn't struggling financially at all. They simply put the decorations away for cleaning, that's all. There's no financial crisis in House Lavernia. But Serena just laughs again, waving her hand dismissively. It's fine. There's no need to reassure her. The butler nearly cries inside, wanting to yell that he's telling her the truth. She, however, just smiles and says not to worry soon. This financial crisis will be over, because once she leaves, everything will naturally become better for House Lavernia. Then someone calls out her name. Serena freezes. That voice, she knows it too well. Her father steps in, and the atmosphere shifts instantly. The servants bow low, welcoming him as the Marquis of Lavernia enters the hall. Her father looks almost the same as she remembers, not much changed at all. Serena straightens up and greets him politely. It's been a while, father. He nods, his expression unreadable. Right, he says curtly, reminding her that she didn't send word she would be coming. Then, after a pause, he asks what exactly brings her here this time. Before Serena can answer, another voice cuts through the silence. Someone steps forward, sharp and cold. She turns, startled. It's her brother. For a second, she's about to call out to him, but his glare stops her in her tracks. With a scoff, he says she's the last person he wants to see right now. His tone is dripping with disdain as he asks, "What the hell is she even doing here?" And just like that, the air in the grand hall turns thick, icy tension, hanging between estranged family members who share the same blood, but nothing else anymore. He asks her what she's planning to do this time. He finds it absolutely revolting that she's even part of his family. Why doesn't she just stay away? With that, he turns sharply, saying he has nothing more to say, and heads upstairs without another glance. Their father calls out to him, telling Nocturne to stop right there. He says to Serena that they will meet at dinner, but to Nocturne, his tone shifts. Doesn't he think he's being too harsh on his sister? Nocturne lashes out, insisting that he's only speaking the truth. According to him, she only knows how to trample on others or humiliate them. To him, she's a total disgrace to the family. His father lets out a weary sigh. Even so, it's been some time since he's seen her. Shouldn't they at least have dinner together? Nocturne replies that he won't be joining them. The Marquis argues, asking if they shouldn't at least try to support her. After all, she's still family. But Nocturne simply turns away, saying he'll be turning in for the night. The Marquis watches him leave, exhaling quietly. It's been a long time since Serena last stepped foot inside the manor. He can't help but wonder what brings her here this time. It's a relief, at least, that his wife is away for treatment. Otherwise, things might have gotten even messier. Calling out to the head butler, he asks if he knows the reason for Serena's return. But the butler, too, is completely clueless. In that case, the Marquis muses, it must be because of that. Meanwhile, Serena realizes that Nocturne hates her even more than she expected. Nyx asks her what she possibly could have done to make him hate her that much. There was a time, after all, when things weren't this bad between them. Actually, they even got along quite well once. She remembers wondering back then if that was what having a family felt like. But now, seeing his reaction, she can't help but face the truth. After everything she's done, after every scandal that's dragged the family name through the mud, it's no wonder he hates her. What she's learned, after countless reincarnations, is that unconditional love doesn't exist, especially not for someone like her, someone who's been abandoned by family in every single lifetime. Still, she consoles herself, so what if she's the black sheep? Sure, it's unfair, since she didn't even do any of those things herself, but whatever. She just needs to stick to the original plan and secure the money. That's all that matters. When dinner time arrives, Nocturne finally comes downstairs after his father's endless coaxing. But the moment he does, everyone freezes. They're honestly too stunned to speak. Has House Kalahinam fallen into poverty over the past few years? Because they definitely don't remember her eating this much before. Or maybe, is this some new kind of threat? Her father calls out to her, asking if the duchy has been dealing with food shortages or financial trouble lately. Serena blinks in confusion and replies that no, not at all. Why? Is there a problem? He hesitates for a moment before saying that it's just, she seems to be eating an awful lot tonight. He's simply concerned she might upset her stomach. She pauses mid-bite, thinking, oh, so now he's suddenly concerned? Does he really think eating this much would upset her stomach? Or is this just his roundabout way of bringing up the family's finances? He quickly adds that, to be clear, it's not because he's being stingy or anything. Serena sighs inwardly. There's no need for him to hide it. She already knows about the family's financial troubles. She apologizes softly for being insensitive, saying she knows it's been hard to even spare meat or flour for a daughter like her. Her father looks up, puzzled, asking what she's even talking about. That makes her hesitate. Did I bring up the family situation too bluntly? She wonders. Trying to smooth it over, she explains that she was just being thoughtless by eating too much. After all, she's the disgrace and burden of the family. But honestly, even financial problems are nothing compared to having a daughter like her. The whole dining room falls into a heavy, uncomfortable silence. The air feels dense with tension. Nocturne finally breaks it, asking what's come over her. If, by any chance, she's mocking them. He knew she was bad, but not this bad. A sudden thought strikes Serena as she looks around at her openly hostile family. This is the perfect time to make my offer. She bows her head slightly, apologizing if she offended anyone, and continues that while they're on the subject, she'd like to make a proposal. Her father exhales slowly, his voice calm but tired, so it really was about that. He had a feeling that's what she came for. Serena didn't think he'd already figured out that she was planning to leave, but she guesses that's to be expected from the head of the family. If anything, it makes things easier. The Marquis folds his arms and asks how much she needs. Serena, without hesitation, says she would like 10 million gold, please. He raises an eyebrow, asking if that would be enough. She nods, saying she's saved some money of her own as well. But deep down, she's honestly surprised by how smoothly this is going. When she first came up with this plan, she was ready to face rejection after rejection. She had thought they might try to hold on to her under the pretense of family, especially since all her misdeeds hadn't been fully exposed yet. But instead, they just look at her with cold politeness, asking if she's sure she doesn't need more. And that's when it hits her. She never realized until now just how deeply she's hated. After Serena marries Duke Kelehinun, she only ever visits her family home when she needs something. So naturally, her father assumes it's the same this time. But there's a strange heaviness in her voice that throws him off, because who in the world would dare tell his daughter that she's a burden and a disgrace? Sure, he admits to himself, Serena has caused her fair share of chaos over the years. She's not exactly the easiest daughter to handle. But hearing her say those words about herself doesn't sit right with him at all. Beneath his stern expression, something inside him twists with guilt and disbelief. Still, the man's practical nature kicks in. He thinks 10 million gold is way too little. If she's here asking for money, he might as well be generous about it. He reminds her that she said she's saved up a bit already, so how about 30 million instead? In his mind, he's just being considerate, maybe even clever. He's certain she wants to use it to buy new jewels or something shiny to distract herself, so giving her more than enough means she'll be too busy shopping to cause any more trouble. But Serena, surprisingly calm, insists that 10 million should be more than enough for her. That's when her father freezes for a second, completely thrown off. Why is she being so humble? Why does she look like she's apologizing instead of demanding? Is she scared that he might change his mind later? When he asks her that, Serena shakes her head softly and says no, she's just not confident she'll be able to pay it back. Her father's composure cracks right there. Pay it back? The thought hits him like a slap. She actually thinks this is some kind of transaction? That he's giving her a loan instead of helping his own daughter? He tells her she doesn't need to worry about paying anything back, but she only stares at him, stunned, as if she can't quite process the idea that someone would give without expecting repayment. That moment hurts more than he'd like to admit. Where did she even get such a ridiculous idea? He's angry now, but not at her, more at the world or maybe at himself. Why is she surprised by something so obvious that a father should want to take care of his daughter no matter what? But Serena, heart already bruised, thinks differently. This must be the price of being disowned, she tells herself. That must be why he isn't asking for repayment for such a huge sum of money. It's not kindness, it's closure. It's a little bittersweet, really. After 11 long years, this is how they reunite through misunderstandings and money. She had foolishly thought that maybe, just maybe, after all those years apart, there might still be some trace of a bond between them. When her father calls out to her again, she smiles faintly and says she'll accept the offer, even though deep down, she knows it's not about the money anymore. There's no point holding on to false hope, she thinks. Her father then asks if she plans to stay the night, and for a brief moment, she hesitates. Originally, she was planning to stay, maybe to talk a little, share a meal, pretend things were normal. But now that she's seen how much they seem to dislike her presence, she decides against it. She'd rather not stay in a place where her existence feels like an inconvenience. So she leaves, quietly, gracefully, but with a heart that feels heavier than when she arrived. Her father can't help but ask if she truly came all this way, just for this, just to talk about money. The question hangs in the air, heavy and sharp. Serena, calm as ever, simply confirms it. Yes, this was her goal. Nothing more, nothing less. The realization sinks into him slowly, leaving behind a quiet ache. Does she really have no attachment left to this house? No sense of belonging unless she needs something from it. The thought makes his chest feel tight. It's as if all the years of family and familiarity have been erased, leaving only polite distance between them. Serena tells him she'll send everything over once she's wrapped things up on her end. He doesn't quite follow wrapped what up. When he asks what she means, she clarifies that since she's received the money, she should send it to him. The words confuse him further. Is she talking about sending a record of her purchases or something? Still lost, he just agrees, and she smiles faintly, that quiet, tired smile that looks like it's holding back an entire lifetime of exhaustion. A week later, after her visit to the Lavernia manor, Serena is lying flat on the floor of her room. It's been 7 days since she came back, and she still can't bring herself to move. Her limbs feel like lead, and her thoughts loop endlessly. Maybe she was too tense during the negotiations, or maybe she's simply run out of energy. Her social battery completely drained, her motivation gone. Nyx's soft voice drifts through the silence, calling her to stay strong. She's the chosen one of the world tree after all, but Serena doesn't care about any of that right now. Not destiny, not divine titles, not her chosen status. All she wants is a break. Just a single, uninterrupted moment of peace. She apologizes inwardly to Nyx, thinking that saving the world can wait a bit long. She has her own wish to fulfill, her own mess to untangle first. Nyx reassures her that it's okay, that it will wait until she's ready. The words are kind, comforting even, but they fade into the stillness of the room. Serena wonders if she could just stay like this forever, motionless and invisible, where no one expects anything from her. Of course, that wish doesn't last long. The peace shatters when the door bursts open, and Magnus storms in like a thunderclap. He's the only one who would dare to barge into her room uninvited, yelling that her room looks exactly the same and that she's still lying around doing nothing. She doesn't even bother sitting up. She's been doing her best, going on her daily walks, eating properly, bathing regularly like she promised. What more does he expect? But Magnus keeps pushing, his tone sharp, his patience thinning. If she can't even manage that, what is she planning to do? Just give up on being human entirely? Serena closes her eyes, refusing to argue. She just wants to rest a little longer. Why can't he let her? Why does he always have to drag her out of the one place where she feels safe doing nothing? Magnus, clearly irritated, throws out the suggestion that if she's going to keep acting like this, she might as well go shopping to clear her head. The idea earns a dry laugh from her. Shopping is off the table. She doesn't have the money for that anymore. That's when he freezes. Since when does Serena Lavernia, the woman who never once worried about expenses, suddenly care about money? It doesn't make sense. He sighs, trying to stay calm. If she's gonna live on her own after the divorce, she needs to start thinking about those things anyway. She's still in the grace period, so technically, she has the right to use his money for now. He doesn't need to be this concerned, but somehow, he can't stop himself. Serena looks at him then, her expression unreadable. He shouldn't spend like that on someone who's soon going to become a stranger. The way she says it, quiet, detached, feels like a wall slamming down between them. Magnus pushes back, frustrated. If she doesn't want to spend his money because they'll be strangers soon, fine. But she can't claim she has none at all. She's still the daughter of House Lavernia. That's when her composure finally cracks. She says she can't use their money anymore. The statement hangs heavy, laced with something final. Magnus doesn't understand. What does she mean by that? When she finally answers, her voice is almost a whisper, but it hits like a storm. She isn't a Lavernia anymore. For a moment he's frozen, unable to respond. Then the realization dawns, slow and cold. Did they cut off her support? Her faint, bitter laugh fills the silence. Something like that, she thinks. Not just cut off, thrown out. Expelled. She is no longer the daughter of the house she once called home. And though she tries to act like it doesn't matter, the emptiness in her eyes says otherwise. Magnus asks her what she would have done if Marcus Lavernia had refused to disown her. Serena replies that, surprisingly, he agreed quite easily. She adds that she is receiving 30 million gold in exchange, and since that kind of money doesn't exactly grow on trees, she supposes she should be grateful in a way. Magnus cuts in sharply, finding the whole situation outrageous. For a family so deeply connected to the imperial family, he had thought they possessed more sense and integrity. Yet it seems Marquis Lavernia isn't as honorable as he once believed. Serena watches him closely, wondering what that look on his face means. It's almost as if he's hurt or disappointed. Magnus admits that, no matter how much trouble she has caused, or even if she ended up divorced, she is still family. He never thought the Marquis would be so cold-hearted, kicking his own daughter out of the family like that. His words strike something deep within her, and he asks gently if she isn't sad about it. Serena had thought she didn't care about family anymore, yet her eyes grow teary. Perhaps that's why she has been feeling so strangely frustrated ever since leaving the manor. She realizes, reluctantly, that she was hurt by her father after all. A small, self-deprecating laugh escapes her as she admits that she must be a disgrace to them, but even so, it still stung when they didn't even try to stop her from leaving. Magnus tells her that she should have said something back then instead of simply walking away like that. Serena shakes her head faintly, thinking that it's fine. After all, he took her side when no one else ever did. Many had blamed her for everything, yet no one had ever stood up for her before. The feeling of someone finally defending her warms her chest in an unfamiliar, fragile way. Magnus is taken aback by her words. He had always known that things were tense between her and her family. Anyone could see that at social gatherings, but he never realized it was this bad. Could it be that she began acting out after going through that life-threatening situation, all while her relationship with her family was already falling apart? The thought settles heavily on him, and he resolves quietly that he shouldn't be too harsh on her, at least not until he exhales a long, weary sigh, yet the frustration doesn't leave him. Regardless of everything that has happened, he still can't help but be angry about it all. Serena, however, feels strangely touched. She thinks that it must have been so hard for a kind man like him to suffer for so long at the hands of the so-called Villainess. But now, she believes he will finally be happier once she is gone. Still, before she leaves, she decides she must properly apologize. She sits upright in front of him, drawing his attention and making him wonder why she suddenly looks so serious. She knows it is too late to do this, but she has wanted to apologize for quite some time. Magnus blinks in confusion, asking if she's feeling unwell, perhaps sick or feverish, but she assures him she is not. She has simply realized that she needs to properly apologize for everything she has done, for abusing her status, and for hurting others. Serena continues, her voice trembling but steady. She admits that she has done terrible things, tormenting his wife and family, and almost ruining Kelahinun's standing in the Empire. With all the wrongs she has committed, she knows she can never justify them, no matter the reason. The carriage accident was traumatic for her, and she has been struggling a great deal since then. But even so, she understands that hurting others is something that can never be excused. She confesses that she is sorry for taking so long to apologize. Even if this is her fourth life, she knows karma will always catch up to her eventually. She doesn't want to hurt anyone anymore, not even for the sake of securing her own peace. For the sake of her future, she feels she must properly apologize for the wrongs she has done. She knows that an apology alone won't fix everything, but she plans to do her best to clean up the mess she has made and leave as soon as possible. Magnus listens silently, his expression unreadable for a long moment. He finally admits that yes, she has caused a lot of problems, but he doesn't hate her enough to throw her out of the house immediately after she has just been disowned. The thought surprises even him. Why is he acting like this? He keeps seeing small glimpses of her old self, and it's making him soft despite everything. Still, he tells her that she doesn't need to leave right away. Now that he knows more about her situation with her family, it's difficult not to be concerned. They have already agreed on the divorce, and as long as she behaves, he has no issue with her staying here until the grace period ends. He motions for her to get up, and she does so with a sudden spark of hope in her eyes. She asks eagerly if this means he is really forgiving her. Magnus looks away, his tone guarded as he admits that it's not forgiveness, not yet, but the soft line of his mouth betrays his gentleness. Serena smiles faintly, remarking that he has really grown up to be kind. She thanks him sincerely for saying that, and the words seem to lighten the air between them. It truly does make her feel a little better. Still, Magnus can't help but wonder what she plans to do after their grace period ends, especially now that she has been disowned. That's why, he says after a pause, perhaps he should set up a fund for her to use afterward. Serena immediately shakes her head. She is aware that she has already received alimony and is being allowed to stay here until the grace period ends, so asking for more would be far too much. She politely refuses, insisting that it is fine. Magnus raises an eyebrow and asks then, what about staying here a little while longer after the grace period is over? Her answer is firm, absolutely not. He sighs in disbelief, asking if she isn't being too careless about this. Once she loses the backing of both the Kelahinun and Lavernia families, she won't just be a fallen noble, she will be a commoner. How can she be so relaxed about such a future? Serena simply assures him not to worry, because she already has a plan. After the divorce, she intends to work with someone trustworthy. Magnus frowns, admitting that he doesn't know who she is talking about, but warns her not to trust people too easily. She laughs lightly, pushing him aside as she points out that the person she's referring to already has a solid standing, and they are even planning to start a business together. Magnus freezes for a moment, thinking carefully. Seeing how she has been talking repeatedly about his future wife, and now suddenly mentioning a business partner, a thought dawns on him. He narrows his eyes and asks if this person she is talking about happens to be a man. Serena only smiles, her expression calm but teasing, and answers that yes, he is. A very impressive one. The next morning, the butler informs him that he will present the opinions of the residents. The first matter concerns the wedding vows. This immediately brings back the memory of what Serena said the previous day, and his mind begins to spiral. His imagination betrays him. He envisions Serena marrying another man and leaving her old life behind. The thought alone infuriates him so much that he snaps the pen in his hand. To him, it sounds as though she has fallen for some sort of scam. Because what kind of madman would propose a business partnership with Serena of all people? If that is truly the case, then without a title or wealth to protect her, she could easily fall prey to those waiting to take advantage of her. The thought unsettles him deeply, and he quickly orders the butler to prepare for an outing. This matter is truly concerning him now. Outside, Serena is standing quietly when she hears someone call her name. Turning around, she finds Magnus approaching her. The moment their eyes meet, he questions her directly. Who exactly is this business partner of hers? And is it someone he happens to know? Serena blinks, surprised by his sudden interrogation, and asks why he is bringing this up so abruptly. On top of that, she points out that he is here during his working hours, which only makes his unexpected visit more suspicious. It dawns on her then, so this is why he suddenly showed up. With a calm expression, Serena assures him that it is someone very trustworthy. Magnus, however, is taken aback by the very notion that Serena has someone she trusts. Who in the world could that possibly be? She doesn't even have any real friends. To him, that alone is enough to confirm that this entire affair must be a scam. The next day, his patience finally snaps. He storms into the room without warning, his voice raised as he demands that she stop that business plan immediately. According to him, there are simply too many suspicious elements surrounding it, and if she insists on going through with it, he will have no choice but to contact her family and ask them to intervene. The moment those words leave his mouth, Serena freezes. He knows she has been disowned. The silence that follows is heavy. Right, she thinks bitterly. A simple apology can't erase all that resentment between them. But despite everything, she still feels an odd warmth inside, some faint happiness that he stood up for her, even if his way of showing it is harsh. Considering everything she has done, she understands perfectly well why he does not trust her. But like she said before, all she wants is to secure a steady source of income for when she is living alone. So she tells him not to worry, promising that she will make sure his family isn't affected, even if she fails. He begins to protest, insisting that isn't what he's worried about. But the words falter midway as he suddenly freezes, questioning himself. Is he really not worried about her? Then, almost as if by accident, Serena lets slip the truth. She never mentioned it before, but she is actually going to be working with the IMA, the Imperial Merchants Association. At first, she explains, she had looked into joining the Merchant Guild, but there were far too many restrictions. So instead, she turned her attention to the IMA, which is far more open in its policies. Lately, she has heard many good things about them. Besides, the head of the association is known to be a loyal supporter of the Emperor himself. If she were to do something reckless under such circumstances, Magnus hears about it almost immediately. The news spreads quickly, and when he learns of it, his thoughts spiral. The head of the Merchants Association, rumor has it, he is a young man. Magnus's expression tightens as the thought takes root in his mind. Could he be the one Serena described as impressive? The possibility stings more than he expects. He realizes now that Serena has been preparing far more meticulously than he ever imagined. It's almost as if she has been planning to leave for a long time, setting everything in motion piece by piece, quietly and efficiently. Meanwhile, Serena completely misinterprets Magnus's sighs yet again. In her eyes, he had never bothered to look her way before, and yet now he keeps following her around. She cannot understand why. If he dislikes her decision to start a business, he could simply forbid it as the head of the family. So why is he behaving like this instead? What exactly is he thinking? She looks at him, puzzled, and remarks that he isn't acting like his usual self. After all, this isn't the first time she has caused trouble, yet this is the first time he has come to her personally. Magnus's jaw tightens. He twitches slightly and retorts, asking if she really believes he came only because of this matter. Serena looks at him evenly and asks what other reason there could be. He goes blank, unable to respond. The truth is, he doesn't want to admit that he has been following her out of sheer concern. Inside, he's crying out in frustration. What should he even say? How can he possibly get out of this situation without exposing himself? Then, in a desperate attempt to divert the topic, he blurts out something entirely different. He mentions that there's been an invitation to the annual imperial banquet. He was planning to decline it due to work, but now it seems he will have to attend after all. When he adds that he has been instructed to take her with him, Serena hesitates immediately. She asks if she really has to go. But of course, they are still technically a married couple, until the grace period of their separation ends.